It's a first alert weather night with a massive storm hitting western Washington. I'm tracking when the rain and the wind will let up.
I'm in Snohomish County where trees are down and power lines are all over the roads.
I'm in the Cascade foothills where strong wind gusts are knocking out the power.
I'm meteorologist Leah Pizzetti from Stevens Pass, where a blizzard warning is now in place. We'll show you what conditions look like up here.
It is a first alert weather night with that infamous bomb cyclone hammering western Washington right now. Tonight we are hearing countless reports of trees and power lines knocked down by the storm. This was the scene in North Seattle where a fallen tree smashed a car. Our mountain passes are also getting slammed with heavy snowfall right now. You want to avoid driving through both Snoqualmie and Stevens Pass as those blizzard conditions are only expected to worsen overnight. This is King 5 News at 11. I'm Greg Copeland. We are also learning that more than 500,000 customers in western Washington are without power right now. King 5 has team coverage all around the region for you. Coming up in a few minutes, we will have an update on the hardest hit areas, primarily on the east side, but we're going to begin with our chief meteorologist, Mike Everett, who's been tracking it all. Unpack it for us.
Hi. Well, first of all, we experienced a hurricane force wind in one part of western Washington tonight. I'll tell you about that in a moment, but we remain in first alert through the night tonight, and the top story remains that blustery, gusty wind. That's going to be into the early morning hours of Wednesday. I'll tell you exactly when it stops coming out. Power outages, and remember, if it's bad now, travel's going to be really difficult across the region first thing tomorrow morning. As Greg was just telling you, we also have whiteout conditions in the mountains. Even though the highways have been opening and closing, we're just asking people to avoid mountain travel altogether. That will improve dramatically tomorrow as well. And then on top of that, we've got king tides that have already been affecting some of the ferry crossings, but now it's making the waters across Puget Sound and especially the coast downright dangerous, where we've seen waves up to about 24 feet. The big eye-popping number tonight is a verified number coming out of the National Weather Service. Enumclaw saw a 74-mile-an-hour wind. That is the minimum threshold for a Category 1 hurricane. You think it took down some power lines and trees? You bet it did. Now, in Camino Island, we expect gusty winds, and we got them tonight, 63 miles an hour so far, but widespread. We've seen 57-mile-an-hour gusts in Federal Way, and SEA has had some travel impacts tonight, 55-mile-an-hour winds recorded there so far. Along with that, we've been seeing some bands of rain moving through, but the bigger story remains that snow that's been constant whiteout conditions in the mountains. That will improve as we go through the day tomorrow. I've got a full hour-by-hour detail, and we'll talk more about that bomb cyclone coming up.
Okay, Mike, thank you. The storm has turned deadly tonight. A woman was killed by a falling tree in a homeless encampment in Linwood. This happened off Alderwood Mall Parkway in 170th Street about 7 o'clock. Nobody else was hurt there. 2 people are in the hospital after a tree fell on a trailer in Maple Valley. This happened near 184th Street and 246th Avenue. Firefighters say it took about an hour to get one person out of the trailer. No word yet on their conditions tonight. These are just some of the dozens of calls about downed trees and power lines all across the region. Check this one out. We captured video of this massive tree that fell on a home in Sammamish. King 5's Madison Wade has been going from scene to scene tonight. Madison, tell us about what's going on right now where you are.
Greg, we are right here in between Wedgwood and Lake City. We want to show you this. A King County Metro bus smashed by a tree. This is again on 35th Avenue Northeast between 95th and 96th. We are told by witnesses that this happened so fast. They were standing outside because the buses were already not able to go down 35th because, like you already showed, there was a car that was pinned by a tree. They were stuck. So this bus right here was again stuck. The bus driver tells me he is okay. No one was on board when this happened, but people who are here in this neighborhood say how scary it was. Here with me is Raj. He lives right next door to where this happened. So Raj, what did you see and what did you hear?
It wasn't so much what I see, but I heard a big crack and a boom. It happened really quickly. Since it's dark, we couldn't really see much, but we heard the boom and we ran over from the street corner up to the bus driver, who was really shaken, and he was getting out how lucky he was, how after he's just, you couldn't understand what you're looking at first.
Yeah, it's really remarkable to see something like this. What has this been like for you to be here in this neighborhood knowing a tree pinned a car, and a tree is now on top of this?
Well, these trees are notorious for falling over, so I kind of expected some trees coming down. Nothing like this though. This is crazy. And with extended power outages, makes it's this is bananas.
Yeah, like you just said, Raj, the power is out. Thank you so much for your time. The power is out here in this neighborhood. A very dangerous situation. But again, the bus driver here on Route 65 is completely okay. No one was on board. But again, a very scary scene that we're seeing here. Again, we are in Wedgwood, between Wedgwood and Lake City on 35th Avenue. So the cleanup is going to continue. This road is closed. So once we learn more from King County Metro and also all the power outage updates, we'll be sure to let you know. Live tonight, Madison Wade, King 5 News.
All right, let's keep moving. Highway 18 is shut down in both directions until further notice between I-90 and Issaquah-Hobart Road. We're told there are multiple trees down across the roadway near Snoqualmie. No estimate for crews to get that road back open. This is a look at the PSE outage map tonight, and hopefully we can zoom in a little bit. It is truly a sea of red from Carbonado all the way up to Kenmore. 362,000 customers are in the dark there. King 5's Maddie White live in North Bend, just one of the areas hit by strong wind gusts in the Cascade foothills. Maddie.
Oh yeah, Greg, where I'm standing right now in downtown North Bend is usually the brightest and lightest part of the city, but not right now. It's pretty pitch black with the exception of that one car driving by because they are in a power outage. The entire city of North Bend is completely dark and they might not get any relief until tomorrow morning. Power is out
21 years of this.
in all of North Bend right now.
Fortunately, we did lose power.
And despite chilly winds making it feel about 20 degrees,
Looks pretty crazy, like we already can't get our other car out of the driveway.
people spending the night here are either improvising,
We got the generator ready at the house.
leaving,
We're actually heading up to Snoqualmie Ridge to stay with my girlfriend tonight.
or roughing it out. The local utility company announced they're calling off all power restoration efforts until winds die down, saying it's too dangerous for their workers.
It's dark, it's windy, it's unsafe. I don't blame them not trying to restore power right now. Like, we need to get through the night. I don't want to put anybody's, health at risk just for school or electricity, something like that.
This Snoqualmie middle schooler
They said there may be a 2-hour delay, but we don't know yet.
says she might not have to go to school on time tomorrow. Is that kind of welcome news for you?
Yes.
These high winds and debris may create dangerous driving conditions. What are you going to do with those 2 extra hours?
Sleep in.
I don't blame you. We will keep you updated here on King 5 as well as on our website and app for all of the school closures, delays, all of those details. In the meantime, Eastside Fire and Rescue, big gust, did add extra crews on the ground here tonight in North Bend as well as in Woodinville because they're worried about, dangerous conditions. So if you are home right now with power, it's important that you stay prepared, even charge your phone. Make sure that if your power goes out, you're going to be okay. Reporting live in North Bend tonight, I'm Maddie White, King 5 News.
Maddie alluded to this, but with widespread outages across the region, we are already hearing about some school closures and delays. Both Kent and Marysville school districts will be 2 hours late. UW-Bothell is closed tomorrow. Bellevue College and Muckleshoot Tribal Schools have an early release. You can tune into King 5 mornings starting at 4:30 a.m. for the latest updates. A reminder, it is dangerous traveling across the mountain passes. On Snoqualmie Pass and Blewett Pass, chains are required for all vehicles except all-wheel drive. Traction tires are required on Stevens Pass and White Pass. Now, this is just the second time in a decade that a blizzard warning has been issued over the Cascades. Conditions have been deteriorating all throughout the day. King 5 meteorologist Leah Pizzetti spoke with some people braving the storm up on Stevens Pass.
This blizzard warning is now in place, and it is clear why. If you can see behind me, blowing snow is the big concern out here, creating those visibility issues. So where I am right now, Stevens Pass, all of our mountains are not going to be easy to travel this evening as this blizzard warning continues.
Even before the National Weather Service's blizzard warning officially began, the wind started howling on Stevens Pass.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yep. You can tell it's starting to build for sure.
Should probably get our boots off and get warm.
Backcountry skiers and snowboarders came up before the winter weather kicked in.
The clouds look like they're kind of rolling in too over here.
And got out just in time.
We're getting out of here just before the storm comes in, which was the goal.
This current storm,
a bomb cyclone, I hear,
is helping cause a rare blizzard warning. Just the second one in more than 10 years. The first was back in January.
I kind of do remember that, and I remember being really surprised that it was 10 years. Is this considered a blizzard warning?
The criteria is essentially two main factors: prolonged wind, sustained wind or frequent gusts at 35 miles per hour or greater, and considerable falling snow or blowing dust that causes less than a quarter-mile visibility for 3 or more hours.
We don't like driving through Stevens when there's winds.
That wind, one of the central focuses of this storm. Drivers like Chris and Dean getting over the pass before the worst of it hits.
To me, it's important to be wary of what's going on as far as the weather.
Now, WashDOT tells me that when we saw that blizzard warning earlier this year in January, Stevens Pass actually did shut down for 21 hours. That was the longest closure we saw all year. Reporting from Stevens Pass, I'm meteorologist Leah Pizzetti.
Stay updated on the changing weather conditions anytime with our King 5 app. You can also watch the latest forecast anytime on our streaming channel, King 5 Plus. Both apps are free to download on any of your devices. New tonight, the plan to close 4 Seattle elementary schools could be scrapped. The superintendent had previously recommended closing North Beach, Stanislaus, Sacagawea, and Stevens Elementary. Now he says he will reconsider it. Angry parents said the district lacked transparency when they started rolling out school closures to try to address the $94 million budget deficit for next year. At a meeting tonight, board president Liza Rankin agreed. The superintendent hasn't announced when he'll reconsider those recommendations. New information tonight about a story King 5 first told you about in August. A Spanaway daycare has been allowed to reopen after an investigation by the State Department of Children, Youth and Families. That investigation examined allegations from a family that a 10-month-old was seriously injured at the daycare. Now, DCYF has determined there were no signs of abuse. The daycare denied any wrongdoing. The owner previously told King 5 she has a well-vetted staff and has been running the daycare for more than 6 years.
How long do your kids actually get to sit at the table and eat their food? We exposed the shrinking lunch period in many Washington schools, the school lunch crunch.
Also, it is a first alert weather night as we continue to track that so-called bomb cyclone with blizzard conditions hammering our mountain passes. Back with much more after this. Kids can't learn on an empty stomach, but as a King 5 investigation reveals, students in many school districts may be getting shorted on their lunch. Chris Ingalls reports on the school lunch crunch, the shrinking lunch periods in many Washington schools.
At this Everett home, the school day is over. And an after-school routine begins for mom, Amber Ortega.
Do you already have a snack?
It's not homework or TV time. Every day after school, she needs to feed her hungry kids.
How was lunch?
I had to eat my pizza really fast at school.
6th grader Rose, who is 11,
But I'm mostly used to it.
and her 8-year-old sister, Mabel.
You only had time to eat your sandwich? What else did you have that you wanted to eat?
Applesauce.
Don't have time to finish their lunches at school, according to mom.
When my kids come home and complain about not being able to finish their lunch, it usually always just boils down to not having enough time.
It isn't just one family. On an Everett School's Facebook page, parents called the short lunch hours ridiculous, frustrating, and chaos and bananas. Do you get enough time to eat your lunch?
Not really. I usually get like 5, 6, or 10 minutes.
Mabel has to stand in line, eat her food, and clean up during a 20-minute lunch period. Experts say that's not long enough.
And what our research shows is that when kids have 20-minute lunch periods, they eat significantly less of their lunch on average compared with kids that have longer lunch periods.
Dr. Juliana Cohen is a nutrition researcher and Harvard professor who studies school lunch times. Her team visits lunchrooms and uses stopwatches to calculate seat time.
They're there measuring how much time do kids actually have to eat their lunch. When kids have longer lunch periods, they go back to the classroom more refreshed and more able to learn.
I have a stopwatch here, Rose. I gave this to you a couple weeks ago. And what did you do with it?
Once I sat down at lunch at school, I would start the stopwatch.
With that stopwatch ticking, Rose measured her seat time at Evergreen Middle School, where the lunch period for her 6th grade class is only 15 minutes long.
And then stop it whenever a teacher said 2-minute warning for cleaning up. So it would show how long I got to sit and eat lunch.
What was the shortest time you had to eat lunch?
I think that might have been 8 minutes and 21 seconds.
8 minutes and 21 seconds to eat lunch? Was that long enough?
No.
Over 2 weeks, Rose's seat time at lunch averaged 10 minutes and 22 seconds a day.
I was a little bit surprised of how short it was.
We'd be welcome to hire her as part of our research team. Sounds like she's an expert as well.
Do you want mashed potatoes and gravy?
Dr. Cohen encourages schools to push their seat time to a minimum of 25 minutes, which usually means a 30-minute lunch period. But we uncovered how rare that is. The King 5 investigators surveyed 31 school districts in Western Washington. Schools, even in the same district, have varying lengths of lunchtime. We recorded the shortest. Schools in 5 districts have at least 25 to 30-minute lunches. 5 other school districts, including Kent and Tacoma, didn't respond to our repeated requests. 19 school districts have lunches as short as 20 minutes, mostly in elementary schools. And Stanwood, Camano, and Everett have the shortest, only 15-minute lunches in some schools.
Our 6th grade class here at Gateway this year is bigger than it has been.
Matt Bennett is principal at Gateway Middle in Everett, where the 6th grade class is so large, the lunch period is split into 2 15-minute sessions.
So half the students will have free time, while half the students eat, and then they switch.
Do you think kids have enough time to eat in your school?
I do. We still manage to get through all of our students, and they have ample time to buy their food and eat their food before that free time.
How do you respond to that?
Especially with 20-minute lunch periods, those kids at the end of the lunch line, we often see they have 5 minutes or less to eat lunch.
You're welcome.
Administrators in some districts admit to us they're now having a harder time scheduling lunches, especially in elementary schools, where a new state rule requires 30 minutes of recess a day. Lunch is the one period administrators can bend to fit schedules.
There's always food getting thrown away and wasted.
There's one other thing that Rose tracked for us: the food that kids didn't have time to eat. Things like strawberries, grapes, apple slices.
I would mostly see a lot of fruits or vegetables. Mostly the things that people won't want to eat as much.
All the nutritious food got thrown out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That means carefully designed and costly healthy school lunch programs are getting trashed.
Chris Ingalls reporting there. The King 5 investigators are dedicated to serving the public interest through watchdog journalism. If you'd like to submit a tip to our team, just email investigators@king5.com.
And turning our focus back to weather, we are in first alert through the night tonight. The good news is we will not be by this time tomorrow, but there's more active weather on the way. I'll show you that in just a moment. In the meantime, we will continue to be tracking that gusty wind that will decrease as we go throughout the day tomorrow. Here's the culprit. This storm system sitting off the coast looks remarkably like a hurricane. Well, it is a low pressure system. It is technically a cyclone, and it strengthened rapidly from 990 millibars last night to 950 millibars today. That is a very powerful storm, and it's battering the entire west coast with heavy rain, mountain snow, and gusty winds. Our version of it is the high wind warning along the immediate coast that'll be in place until 4 a.m. and into the foothills, where we've been seeing those really strong winds. In case you didn't hear it earlier, a 74-mile-an-hour wind in Enumclaw earlier this evening. The rest of us are still under wind advisories for the same time frame until about 4 a.m. on Wednesday. Gusts already verified over 50 miles an hour in the Seattle metro alone. On top of that, that blizzard warning will remain in effect until 10 a.m. tomorrow. We're just asking folks to just stay out of the mountains if you can. It will improve dramatically during the day tomorrow. And if you were to make it through the mountains, there's no picnic waiting for you there either. A winter storm warning in effect until 10 a.m. for Kittitas, Klickitat, and Yakima counties, where blowing snow has been a constant and will be through the night. Along the coast, that low pressure system just churning the seas up to 24 feet in the surf zone along the immediate coast, and that is creating some dangerous conditions. We're asking people to stay away from the immediate coastline. It is literally dangerous. Within the last hour, we've seen some more big gusts, including a 45-mile-an-hour gust in Seattle, and everything you see in purple has been in excess of 40 miles an hour, and more of that on the way tonight. We also will see some very chilly temperatures tonight. That easterly wind making the feels-like temperature in the teens through the passes. In places like North Bend, it's about 20 degrees right now, so it's very chilly, and for folks without power, that's an issue. Speaking of the winds, as we go through the night tonight, everything you see in purple is 40 miles an hour or higher. After midnight tonight, it will remain gusty in the foothills and off towards the Strait of Juan de Fuca. My estimation is that it'll be between 4 and 5 a.m. that we finally see those winds start to slacken, allowing crews to get out and start doing some of that repair work. So you can imagine that we've got thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people without power tonight. It's going to take most of the day tomorrow to get that fully restored for everybody. It will remain breezy throughout most of the day, and it will remain gusty up towards the Admiralty Inlet and through the rest of the day. Here's a live look from Snoqualmie Pass. This is the Silver Fir Cam, and every once in a while you see a big gust of wind that pushes through here and just illustrates how dangerous it is to be in the mountains. Now, it won't be tomorrow. We'll be in blizzard conditions overnight tonight. By tomorrow morning, the snow will stop, but it will still remain dangerously cold there, and then light snow will resume on Wednesday night. As we put the future into motion here, the snow is a constant in the mountains. Rain will be heavy and steady along the foothills, and then tomorrow will back off. We'll even see a few sunbreaks here and there, but folks along the Kitsap Peninsula will see bands of heavy rain in very similar places where we saw it with the last storm system, Brennan, and in places like the Duckabush River, we could see some heavy rain there as well. That will dissipate as we go through the day, and then there's that break that we're looking for in the mountains. Light snow will return during the night tomorrow night. As far as snow potential goes, not a whole lot more in Snoqualmie Pass. We're expecting about another 2 to 3 inches there, but as this storm system turns around and returns later in the week, we could be looking at more accumulating snow in the mountains. As we go through the rest of the week here, we see a slight warm up on Friday as that system moves in, but it's going to be cool, it's going to be wet, and we'll be tracking more rain and snow as we go through the rest of the week.
Just ahead, the Sounders get set for the semis and the Mariners pick up a new infielder. And as the Seahawks get set to install the new game plan for Arizona, Coach Mike Macdonald ponders his running attack. That's next in sports.
The King 5 Sports Report, brought to you by Xfinity. Stream live sports from the best seat in the house with Xfinity. Bring on the good stuff.
The Seahawks had a lot of things working in their win over their divisional rival in Santa Clara on Sunday, but the run game wasn't one of them. The Hawks only totaled 94 yards on the ground as a team, with lead back Ken Walker stumbling to 54 yards on 14 carries. His own quarterback topped him for the longest run of the day for 16 yards. It's the same story each week, but Mike Macdonald preaches consistency in the fundamentals to turn it around.
How we're protecting the edges, how we're taking our tracks, and how we're reading it when with the ball carriers. Right now, it's kind of one play off here or there, and it hasn't really connected. But if we stick to the process and we stay committed to the things that we're trying to do in different sets and how we're going to game plan it and work it, I think it'll come together.
No more playoff series for the Sounders. It's time for win or go home knockout style in the Western Conference semifinals. Head coach Brian Schmetzer says this team has been preparing for this format the whole second half of the season, playing like they had everything to lose.
They had a good mentality. They were determined, I would say. And so how does that translate into a one game, win or go home, win or go on, lose or go home? How does that translate? Well, it's all the work you do throughout the course of the year. It's the messaging.
The Mariners picked up infielder Austin Shenton from the Rays today for cash. He had 214 in 19 big league games last year. Shenton hails from Spokane and spent 5 years in the Mariners organization before being sent to Tampa Bay in the Diego Castillo deal. Pitcher J.R. Chagua was designated for assignment.
It happened tonight, sponsored by the Muckleshoot Casino Resort. The biggest and best is now bigger and better.
Check out Canucks goalie Archer Shelob. He lost his stick, tucks one hand behind his back, stops the point-blank shot one-handed. How about this? Russell Westbrook becomes Mr. 200. He's the first player in NBA history to record 200 triple-doubles. He did so tonight with his new Denver Nuggets. And finally, man, oh man, Trey Mann with a posterizing dunk. Gets the bucket, disrespects Noah Clowney, and earns a technical for taunting. A full day at the office. We'll be right back.
The King 5 Sports Report, brought to you by Xfinity. Stream live sports from the best seat in the house with Xfinity. Bring on the good stuff.
It's been a busy night and it's going to be a messy morning. You've got more numbers.
Yeah, so first of all, the big messaging is that the commute is going to be ugly tomorrow. When the screen went dark on me earlier, this is what I was trying to show you. This is from Stevens Summit, where you can see the road is completely covered in snow, and it's still snowing heavily. Blizzard warning in effect until tomorrow morning. Big question everybody has for me is, when does the wind die down? Well, it's going to take most of the night until about 4 or 5 a.m., and then finally crews should be able to get out and get a chance to start restoring people's power.
It's going to be a long night for a lot of people. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Be safe. Good night.
Bye.